Hello and welcome to African Market Explained, a podcast by Bantaba, Africa's largest startup diaspora community. Here, we leverage insight from experts to bridge the knowledge gap about startups and startup investing in the African tech ecosystem. I'm your host, Yaw Asamoah. In this episode, we will delve into a form of fundraising often overlooked in the African tech ecosystem, grants. Joining us is an enthusiastic founder who is passionate about making healthcare accessible to the masses, and has secured a grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to propel his venture forward. Please welcome Yaw Asamoah, the CEO of MedPharma. Hi, Yaw. Welcome to Africa Market Explained.
Hello, Tommy. Thank you very much, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. Can you please tell our listeners a bit about yourself and what you're building at MedPharma?
So, I've been in the healthcare space for well over 10 to 15 years. And basically, building. I started off more of retail pharmacy. So I've run retail pharmacy. I've been in the wholesale pharmacy space, regulator space, medical practitioner space and all in Ghana and Africa and Europe and parts of America. So in 2019, we basically evolved. We were looking at how do we expand our pharmacy chain, retail pharmacy chain. And we realized that it's very expensive to go with brick and mortar if you don't have funding. So that was when we gave birth to MedPharma. MedPharma is basically a health tech platform, primary health tech platform. We provide 5 key services. So you want to talk to a doctor, e-consultation. You want to do your diagnostics, we can work it out for you. You want your medicines delivered to you wherever you are, we do that as well. Then you can also store your medical records on our platform. So on the face value, that's basically what MedPharma is about. And our channels are through Android, mobile, that's Android, iOS. We also have a website, www.medpharma.care. And we also have a chatbot where clients can also access our services from.
Well, that sounds awesome. Trying to fix the healthcare space in Africa. It's a big task. So let's dive into the fundraising story. Recently, you acquired a grant from the Bill Gates Foundation. Can you tell us a bit about how that went about? How did you get the grant?
So that's an interesting one. So in 2020 thereabout, I think, we got approached by Salient Advisory. So they were doing a research on health tech space in Africa. And they might have heard about MedPharma, I don't know how. So one of their executives actually walked into my office and said, they've heard about us, they want to interview us, and like similar to what you're doing right now. And I said, okay, let's give it a shot. Then they said, look, along the line, we will probably see how we can get the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to throw some money at health techs or health startups in Africa. And when that time comes, we will let you know so that you can put in an application. So fast forward 2023, I think they had the first one 2022. The first cohort, where they had 30 startups in Africa. Then in 2023, last year, they did a second cohort where they had 29, and we applied, and it was a rigorous system, and we won. We're the only health tech company from Ghana, so we might have probably done something good, I guess. And but we went through a whole long process of interviews and reviews and due diligence and making sure that what we were saying was right and all. And we won part of that $50K, and that has been a tremendous good to us.
You talked about the process, about being very long. Was there any particular strategy you used that people could learn from on how it was successful?
I think that the thing about fundraising, whether it is grant or equity or it is debt, I think it's about laying down your cards, right? And telling it as it is and telling the truth, basically. And the numbers need to make sense. If you're talking about impact, they need to make sense. If your financials need to make sense, and when I say they need to make sense, they need to be the truth, right? You can't conjure figures, or you can't say you have a product when you don't have a product. You understand? So example, one of the things that most of these grant givers and even VCs will ask is, they want to talk to a customer that you serve, and they want a testimonial. They want to verify your data. And so if you've not developed something, who is going to tell your story? You can make it up. You can talk to people to make it up for you, but at some point in time, you'll be found out, right? And one of the best things you can do, and I've read somewhere, is that you need to be in a business where even if you go waking up in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. or in the morning, you can still rattle your figures out, and you can still talk about the business without really thinking. And I think that's what we've probably done at MedPharma. I think we know our figures, we know our customers, we have the product, and we can basically step up and say, look, here we are, and this is the truth, and that's what we are saying.
How important do you think being in the space for a long time helped in understanding this strategy?
No, I think it's been of tremendous advantage, if I should say. So my understanding of how the health tech space or the healthcare space works in Africa has been basically premised by the experiences I've had. So if you've lived in Africa for long, you realize that about 80% of the people who get to know that they are sick, they get to know by chance. Somebody has a headache, he goes to the hospital, then he's told your pressure is high or you have diabetes. That's the first time they get to know, because nobody's really doing preventive care, right? And it's also a cultural thing, spiritual thing. People feel when they are sick, it means God doesn't love them and all of that. So it doesn't make healthcare, selling of healthcare solutions sexy. It's not like a fintech, or it's not anything which has a buzzword. It's really hard, and you need to have the personal touch. So having been in this field for a while, I kind of have a sense of how to juggle and the nuances involved in bringing several partners together, what kind of conversations to have with them, and what nerves to strike and what nerves not to strike.
That sounds very interesting. And touching back to something you talked about, about the process when you were applying, do you have a particular support network or community that you leveraged during this process?
So I think one of the things you also want to do as an entrepreneur or as a startup is to have you don't want too many people you are talking to, because then you can get confused, right? But you also want to have a critical mass of people you can reach out to if you are not quite sure about something. And it can be example, if you are raising funds and some people feel that you should give a range. So you can say, I'm raising $10 to $20 as pre-seed. Some people also feel you should be specific. Say, I'm raising $20 or I'm raising $15. And now if you give a range, it's like you are not sure what you're looking for. So people have different perspectives, even from VCs to grants, they all have different views. So I think one of the things you need to do is to surround yourself with people who can make sense, right? And it should be so much sensible to you that you can also explain it to the third party so that it makes sense to the third party. Because all arguments can be won, right? The guy who says that you should give a range can give you an argument and he will win you over. The guy who says you should be specific can give you an argument and he will win you over. But what will convince you is the most important thing, because it's based on that conviction you have that you are basically going to put to the third party involved. So much so that if you don't make sense, he feels your passion and your intelligence and might probably go with you, or might also counter it. But at least at the end of the day, he leaves the conversation knowing that the guy I just spoke to knows his stuff, So I think you need to surround yourself with critical mass, who you can trust, who know their stuff, and who can make sense to you. If they sense to you, there's no point in sticking around them or seeking their advice.
For people, founders that are looking to raise funds and like those that are considering equity-free funding, like grants, what do you wish you could tell them before they start this kind of process?
So I think most grants are looking for impact. How many people are you serving? What good are you doing to society? If your solution can touch any of the SDGs, it helps, right? Because that's where the global space is at. So if your solution is touching any of them, it helps. But then again, I also think telling the truth also is the game changer. If you're not making money, you're not making money. Just tell them you're not making money. If you're making money, you're making money, right? If you have a product, you have a product. If you don't have a product, you don't have a product, right? Because at the end of the day, people can see through a lie after a while. I always say, when I employ somebody, your 10 report will let me know whether you are telling me the truth or I need to get rid of you. And I think after a while, people can tell through a lie who is telling me nonsense and who is telling me the truth. So I would say keep telling the truth and keep working hard and just being creative. If you haven't hit the spot yet, let them know what your end game is and how you intend achieving it, and the fact that they coming on board can also help you or propel you to achieve the targets faster.
Thank you very much. I just had this impromptu question that popped into my mind and I felt like I should ask it. For someone that is starting out, what would you advise in the comparison between, going straight for the VC route or looking for some grants to fund your startup? What would you advise for a founder?
I think, look, there's no straight jacket answer to this.
Okay.
It depends on what you're looking for. It depends on your motivations, right? It depends on your perspective. They all have their pros, they all have their cons. We've tried the VC round, we've just not been successful. Getting the grant, it came. But if you were going for the VC round, you need to know that the VCs are looking for fast growth. So you want to ask yourself, the industry that you are in, is it a fast growth? Is it a 10x? Is it a 20x? Can you be growing at 10% per month or 100% per year? Can you meet those targets? Do you think you have the vision to meet that target? Do you think you have the market? Have you put in place structures and strategies to meet those targets? So those questions should be playing in your mind if you want to go for VC funding. If you want to go for a grant funding, and also the thing about VC funding is there's a lot of people breathing over your neck, right? It depends on the VC anyway. They're asking for reports, they're asking, and if you're not confident, they can also change the trajectory of your business. You can pivot like 10 times because the guy wants his money back as soon as possible. So if you're trying something which is not working, they can throw in ideas, and if you don't take care, you can get confused. The other side with grant money is it's patient capital. So it helps you to also iterate what you want to do and ask yourself, okay, is this the right way to go, and all of that. And you don't get a lot of people breathing down your neck, right? They also believe in your project. That's why they've given you money. So it depends on your motivation. It depends on how much let me say risk or how much load you can hold. Because the whole idea of entrepreneurship is really, really heavy. It's heavy psychologically, it's heavy financially, it's heavy socially, and all of that. So you need to also weigh yourself. What is my strength like? And can I hold all of these things and juggle all of them?
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing your experience with us. Yeah. I learned a lot from this. And hopefully we can get you back here to talk a bit about your next round when you close it.
Anytime, Tommy. I'm grateful for the time as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for listening. What are your top takeaways from the conversation? My topics are that 1, telling the truth about your business and impact can be a game changer when it comes to securing grants. 2, it's important to know your business, your customer, and your numbers by heart. Number 3, to surround yourself with people who you can trust and that can give advices that make sense to you. What are yours? Share in the comments below. Did you learn a lot from this episode? You can learn more by clicking the subscribe button to get reminder on all the juicy content we share. This podcast was brought to you by Bantaba, Africa's largest startup diaspora community. Get in touch at contact@ourbantaba.com or our Bantaba on social media if you're a startup that is fundraising or a diaspora looking to explore the African tech ecosystem. Goodbye. See you next time on Africa's Market Explained.